Thank you very much, Mr. Fidela. Before we get to the questions, I would like to just add a couple more thanks. I want to make sure that everybody is thanked here. And that is for the chairperson of the local organizing committee, Hajiratu Binti Sidibe. She led a team, one of the members of the committee here, but she led a team in the local organizing committee that have been working for the past 5 years to get this done. So we'd like to say thanks to her. Also, Mr. Fadela mentioned young Gambians. I'd like to single out 2 young Gambians. One is Youth Geek, he's the photographer you see running around here, and STS, Sheti Jan Seka, who's doing the videos. They were the ones responsible for all the official videos and photographs that the media committee was sharing with everybody. And also, I'd like to thank all the private media houses that came together to support GRTS and their partners to ensure we had an international standard broadcast of all the proceedings, as well as the media that is here and that was here. I just wanted to put on record, Gambian media behaved with such professionalism that people didn't believe existed. So I want to pay tribute to all of the media houses in this country that were accredited, that came here and reported on the summit. You did a fantastic job and we're all very proud of you. On that note, we have time, we started late, but we have time for a few questions. If you'd like to just stand up, say your name and where you're calling, where you're from, please. Okay, it's loud here. You can echo. Go ahead. Your name?
Okay.
He's making a speech.
Now, my question is, now that this summit has been held successfully, like we all expected, but the construction of the five-star, which is very important. So many governments out there are asking if this project will go ahead for summit. And this question is directed to the Secretary of Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairmanship of the OIC, what is considered as the principal tax for the president, the OIC secretariat, and the Gambia? What is?
Thank you for the opportunity. I am Omar Ba from the Senate. I have 4 questions, 2 for the Minister of Information and 2 for the Minister of Foreign Affairs. The first question is, the first 2 are for the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Countries have started putting trade and diplomatic ties with Israel. Under President Adam Barrow's chairmanship, will this be an option for the Gambia? The OIC Climate Summit projects are still ongoing. Is it possible for the Gambia to host the summit again in the near future when all the projects will have been completed? Next question, because countries like Morocco and Senegal have hosted it more than once.
Okay.
For Information Minister, Dr. Alexander Sise, the government has bought nearly 100 vehicles for the summit. What is going to be the fee of those vehicles after the summit?
Okay. The fourth question.
The final one is with regards to the OIC projects. Will the OIC projects be funded? If yes, will the outcomes of the project be shared with the public? Thank you very much.
They've given in the training of our security personnel, and in Indonesia in training our protocol officers. On the question on Israel, we do not intend to cut off our ties with Israel. Our philosophy is friend with all and enemy with none. And Gambia's diplomacy is anchored on non-alignment, neutrality, and the promotion of dialogue. How can you have dialogue with someone when you decide to push him aside? Then you will not have any opportunity to sit with him. And the president, as he's mentioning, he said now he's the bus driver. I would say he's the captain of the boat. So it's incumbent on all the passengers to make sure that we don't rock the boat so that we can reach our destination safely. And to reach that destination, being the objective that we assign for ourselves to bring a peaceful world, we can do it only through dialogue. We will continue to work with all the partners, but Gambia strongly believes in the 2-state solutions. And whatever and whenever a country, even though you are a friend, you do something that is not in line with our principles, we do not hesitate to conduct it. So we have no intention of cutting ties with Israel, and we do not act by reacting to situation based on the reaction of others. Gambia is a sovereign state. Whatever decision we take it without the pressure or influence of anyone. On hosting the summit, well, I think there is a confusion there. You can have as much summit as you want when you are the chair. But the ordinary summit, this is the ordinary summit that gave us the chairmanship. If the situation warrants it, we can convene an extraordinary summit here and have discussion over it. You can also have a summit even in Jeddah, where the headquarters is located under Gambia's chairmanship. Thank you.
CEO will take the next question.
Yeah, I'll leave that. Okay, thank you very much. I would like to react to the issue of the hotel. Mr. Fadera highlighted some of the strategic projects that we had aligned. We had planned to undertake. The hotel was one of the projects. Of course, accommodation, as we all know, is very important for the holding of summits. However, we had a plan B, and our plan B had worked. We have identified enough bed space that we even needed for this just ended summit. However, let me make it very clear that the hotel project was a unique one that is not the same in terms of scope and character with all others. Like, for instance, the road projects are all Gambia government projects. For the hotel project, you would recall the government did not have the money to be able to build a new hotel. We had wanted to take a loan at the beginning, but then the loans were not concessional, so we couldn't get a loan, hotel built on our own. So we therefore explored different possibilities. And one of the possibilities that was identified was a PPP, public-private partnership, where we had 100% equity. 90% of the equity was supposed to have been provided by a concessionaire. And then 10% of the equity, which is the land, was contributed by the Gambia government. So therefore, we created what is called an SPV, Special Purpose Vehicle. In economic terms or in business terms, that means a company. And that company is neither government 100% nor belonging entirely to the concessionaire. So we had a joint partnership and we created a company called IMOGAM. IMOLAN is the concessionaire. GAM means Gambia. So it's a company like any other company. It's no longer the same in terms of character. So the company exists legally. It's a different animal from government. The project started, but it had some delays. Notwithstanding, we had our own plan Bs and we went ahead. So if I may answer your question directly, IMOGAM as a company still exists legally. The project site is there, work has started, it has stalled, but it is expected that the project should be completed. So as you can see, which is evident enough, the summit went ahead using all the resources that we have in the country. So that is what I want to say about the hotel. So the 5-star hotel is a joint venture project, which includes 2 partners, Gambia government on one hand and a private concessionaire on another hand, forming a company called IMOGAM. So IMOGAM has its own directors. It's no longer a Gambia government, purely Gambia government project. It's no longer an OIC project. What we did, as our secretariat mandate demands, is to raise resources. And that is one of our resources that we raised. So it's a completely independent legal animal that has nothing to do with us in particular. So it's a company, it has directors. So if anybody wishes to know anything about that company, I think the best thing would be talk to the board of directors of that company. Okay. On the issue of the audited accounts, I just want to make it very clear. Since our founding, we have been audited. annually, or at least biannually, been audited. And our audits have always been unqualified. It goes without saying that with such inflow of funds, especially from the government, because the government entirely, let me say this again, entirely funded the events planning aspect of this summit. This was not, the money was not provided by any donor. Over 500 million had been pumped into this by the Gambia government. And as Mr. Fadera said, it all went back into the economy because Gambian companies were contracted to provide the services. So naturally, this is public money. Wherever public money goes, if it is a butut, it has to be audited. So the OIC Secretariat is quite prepared even to be audited tomorrow morning, if that is needed. We are prepared, all our processes are foolproof. They are in line with government regulations. We have a very competent finance department, and they make sure that everything conforms with the rules. So we will be audited, and I'm making this pronouncement that we are prepared even tomorrow morning to undergo an audit exercise. Thank you very much.
Very powerful, inspiring, and assuring comments there. I just wanted to address quickly two things. One stems from the question of the hotel, but looking at other projects that we have, because there's this misconception out there, or this idea that now that the projects are completed, the summit is completed, projects that are related to the OIC will cease to exist. This is not the case. Just like I said, our thinking going into the OIC as a whole, and these infrastructure projects in particular, is to look at them from the perspective of legacy projects. We want these projects to be here to benefit Gambians long after the summit is gone. So the road construction that is on the way will continue to go ahead until its logical conclusion. The water and electricity project that is also on the way with NAWEC will also continue. Nothing is going to stop it. All the funds that are needed for these projects to be successfully implemented have been fully mobilized. They are there, and they will be used and utilized for the purpose that they are intended for. So there is nothing like that. These projects will continue. They will continue to be implemented until they are concluded successfully. This applies to the road projects, Batil Hardin and other road projects. This applies in the case of the water and electricity component and all other aspects that are under the OIC umbrella. So mbadi wala faka mem fanam bambani dorong membe dendi kuma kangola Mr. Baye men nyininka membe dendi hotelo la ko la nyininkaro menge wala mo hotelo la ko be la nyaadi de sa me alon ko somito nyintara kumfat nabos ambassadeur ko diba ya jabiku kaitan dala ko somito hotelo la ko fenne me alon ko ama fan sum bundale anu jiko be ka be tenden na la kake lafa ko ku kil wala fam bambandi kaitan diko na project ko tawol fanan na ko be larinten ka fodron ko somito bandale project ko tawolu melbe den somito la membo ko sila do ko lu anani fensi fa ko no ko be dan la amantra wanya abe nyame wala mo ko ni project ko lu to nyalla nga ko do nyini toyal somito le toyal nga project ko lu kere kere pour ñi somito la ko la ñi bemba bari project len man yalon ko fanan wado men nambe tabikan no ke doku be yilla kam be demante ki kan no wala mu project Gambian be nafa di fan nafa no la je nyaade somito ko la ni project ko be Gambian nafa la nyame wala mu na miroti wala na ni project ko be jibe project le men yalon ko nafa be tar la janne ka Gambia di ngon nafa sanji jama somito ko la ko project ko men boko silo jioni courant wala karola ino na airport VVIP lounge ni conference center me yalon ko be lori janni fa on to la somito ni fa on no ko do me fa do ku jangi somito ni conference center do ala damale ka du ni santambila CEO se ken na sedo di ani do ku nyol men si ata dalasi million keme di nga wala do ku ni conference center dam and santem fa Gambia fanam be faramansa kam bakele ni na conference wala karola Africa la jamma fa so na faalu men be ni project ko kunna sande fa be pula kan na fa fa ko na mandu ma folo fini ko lem tinoji man na folo so ñu be mo project le meron ko be tan la janne kan nafa andu be tenten dala ke dogu kadu project ko men bu ñunuti ni mo fene di malon ko man dan somito damal hadni somito godara ina fa be tan la janne ka Gambian wol fananta ke ma koy On the question of Gambia, the next 3 years for the Gambia, just like the Honorable Minister said, Gambia has a very big vision for the organization. But we are also mindful of the fact that in order to fully tap into that potential, it requires a national effort. And just like the Minister said sometime in one of his remarks, we are going to mobilize the fullest capacity of this country, including the public and the private sector, the civil society organizations, probably even have a national conference on how we can fully tap into this potential to make sure whatever we need, because the OIC also comes with a lot of possibilities. They are engaged in science and technology, research, in business, trade cooperation, investment. There was also an investment forum alongside the summit here in the country. So you can see the possibilities are huge. And as a country where others see a challenge, we see an opportunity. And under his leadership, we are very convinced that we will mobilize the fullest potential of the state to make sure we leverage on all these opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much. I think I've been asked 2 questions by Omar Ba of the Standard newspaper. One of them was the vehicles that the government bought for the OIC summit. What will become of those vehicles? There is nothing concrete yet from the government. And I think in the subsequent days, we will meet as a board to decide what will happen to those vehicles. I'll get back to you in line with our proactive effort to disseminate information. We'll give you every information on that. The second question, I think CEO attempted to answer in terms of the audit. Obviously, in line with government's effort to promote transparency and accountability, obvious that will happen. Remember, an event of this magnitude where public funds are used must be audited, and those audited, although that will be made public as well. So we hope that, and I'm happy that CEO has told you that they are ready even to be audited this evening. That is heartwarming. Thank you.
He's got tomorrow morning, but he's ready for this evening too. But right now, here, okay, thank you very much. Sorry, Standard asked 4 when they should have asked 1. We're bringing the end to the press conference right now. I'd like to thank the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs. Honorable, sorry, the Minister wants to thank another. There's so many people to thank.
We can have 2 more questions.
Yeah? Okay.
But I want to thank the MOFA team, the entire team, for working with a lot of dedication and sacrifice under very difficult conditions, because we put a lot of pressure on them, but they live up to expectation. I can say even beyond expectation. But that shows what I always tell them, that the center of success smells like team spirit. When we work as a team, there is no reason we cannot succeed. And I think Gambians have demonstrated that during this period of hosting the summit. And there are a lot of opportunities. My colleague, Dr. Cisse, mentioned the fact that a lot of opportunities are on the way, because we've signed a lot of bilateral agreements. And there are a lot of countries that are interested in enhancing their relationship with Gambia. Many of the delegates, we have many delegates. This is not only their first trip to Gambia, but to Africa. So as you rightly mentioned it, Gambia is on the map, and the whole world is looking up to us. Already, I always say the UN Secretary General always said that he wants Gambia to be a successful story in his agenda of sustaining peace. And today, being the chair of the OIC, and that's where it's important for us to be friends with all, so that we can engage them, talk to all the parties. We have our plans, but we'll reveal that after the chairman has decided which one will be his priorities. But I can assure you that we'll be engaged in many mediation, because we've already been solicited to participate in many mediation, and people have a lot of trust and confidence in the president. Just recently, he was awarded as the most peaceful president in Africa. That's a huge recognition. So I think we are ready and set to assume our role with the responsibility and the courage that it requires. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable. And I can attest to what the Honorable Minister said, because I was chatting with one delegate, and it was his first time in Africa. And he was looking around the conference center, and he said he could not believe such a thing actually existed in Africa. He was that happily surprised. So that shows you the level of work that has gone into this. But I've been told we can have 2 more questions. Yes, you in the back there. be one. Mr. Hanselman.
I'm Ashman Security, for the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs. With the State Government, I just want to know what this will have an influence from our foreign policy regards to Israel. If not, it's very demanded by not shared voice.
Dopo si divide anche well, my question will be the Minister of Information and Telecommunication, Mr. Pali Patel. First question, Dr. Nigel Danny Somito in Casilia, one is to the song, only on the social media. Attraverso la the delegation of America, su una volta della sigla dove stava trendando. So still molto di meglio fare un mappa in foto quella la cara fu fare in foto second question abbiamo stampato per when you go almost $350 million mobilized to provide this summit. Once general spent in terms of capacity building, in terms of following the roles, in terms of following the way, nice will break down. Thank you.
Final question.
My name is Dimo Kani from the Voice newspaper. The final communicated was the member countries were implored to make sure that they actively participate in the global supply chain. How prepared is the Gambia's participation into that global supply chain? Who say the productivity? And the second question will be also intra-OIC members we are also employed to make sure that they create with one another and also invest within the OIC overseas. What is the anticipation of the Gambia government in trying to harvest investment opportunities from the member countries?
Thank you. From which media? I think QTV.
QTV.
Yes. Voice.
No, QTV.
QTV, yeah. We do not intend to impose any sanction on anyone. This is a resolution, it's a call, but we, as I said, we remain a sovereign state, and we have our foreign policy guided by our non-alignment and our neutrality. And as I said, you cannot engage parties if you start taking position. So, and I always say diplomacy is done behind closed doors. And for you, if you understand the intricacies of diplomacy, you are very mindful of imposing sanctions and taking clear-cut positions. On the Yajinin Karo Munke, Pur Mauritania, Kolia Sunyaro Munke, Tonyali, but Sunyaro Kakendula Belto. Da fola ko gabe wato mun na YC be ke kan nu jam fon fam manke mu ya lon ka manke betama yani mo dol be bara betol dol fanan ke mera jo mal unfortunately woketa bari birinta reje itol make ku bati parce que birinta reje bra ku ngamoy dol fon nga telephone sam ko be replace tare ko muk itata ko itol mu a jokole ate jokole ko gambia minister lu nyin sekana ko ta damentole dol kata ante fon kata metinol dol banku bal ante ila la muna ikanna fon su nyaaji no nin delegate solta la jamanga fo e hakilo wala na ni ra hota lo fon ika sefo di la kuriya fendol ma buji to wo buka bayno fanna mu ya lon ko naka kamalo sambana banko e bari ta fo ko gambia mo suntija sumol bijan mo bedol bijan sumol fana bijan bari tol make ku bati man la finum fa funti band woya dimi famuna tana kuma funti rabanta parce que c'est que no la beldo date ministre nyi amu interior ministre ako nyi mo fendindi nete NSA ta reje parce que président yanki pour nga futem bari molle a waranda manke ku bati mu ya lonko ay to suno or anything ako na tara telephone a fa sa san wol be ay telephone o de but it been work at a Korangaja security area and force the back. Manna, honey, problem killing my daughter. Or Fana Muala Tendul, the Woku killing or Torande, Kuyo at the Kualcol, but often antibiotic, Pasigamba, Mobe Monkey Motil in North.
Thank you very much. Honourable Minister.
Thank you. Before I answer my question, I'd like to add on to what the Honorable Minister said about the incident. Mo wuli nan le naragam, yanga mata mito te point. Bina mo wuli lulu sila. So ni okera banko min kam banko mi alonko. U kundi ngodro nekata. Wodo mo ala tentolete. Ngandong police of Anabella do ko jala kaji ko min ketan salon. Now, with regards to your question on the global supply chains, I think one of the important aspects of global supply chain is to provide the mechanisms to ensure that consumers have access to goods, perhaps, and services. And Gambia is doing well in that front. As you know, currently Gambia is investing heavily in expanding the Gambia ports, but also building a deep sea port at Sanyang. And that will also help in enhancing the global supply chains, ensuring that Gambia now becomes a hub, a maritime hub for the movement of goods, particularly from the African continent to the subcontinent, but also to Latin America, and also to Europe, and also to Asia. Because Gambia is strategically located. That is why, if you remember, the raison d'etre of the existence of Gambia is the River Gambia. When the British came, they were only interested on the river and how far they could navigate it. So Gambia is a hub for maritime, and I think the Gambia government has a strategy to harness that potential to ensure Gambia becomes a global supply chain destination. With regards to investment, I think investors want predictability. Investors want to have confidence in a country and its market. And what gives that confidence is the peace and stability of that country. And Gambia has done exceptionally well in proving to the world that Gambia is stable and peaceful, not only in the short term, but also in the foreseeable future. That is what investors want. Before an investor comes and invests $10 billion in a country, he or she must be sure that his or her money is safe. So Gambia, through maintaining peace, having a peace outlook and stability in the long term, as indicated in every other international index that looks at peace and the maintenance of peace, is an attractive destination for foreign direct investment. So we have no doubt that Gambia will benefit from this. And recently, during the speech of the, I think is the president of the Islamic Development Bank, that $253 billion is sitting, waiting for poor countries to benefit from it. I'm sorry for calling the Gambia a poor country, but that is how they describe us. But for countries like Gambia to benefit from it. And I think through that, we'll promote trade, we'll promote foreign direct investment. And I think Gambia is well placed to use and harness our bilateral opportunities to ensure that trade happens within the OIC. And I think I was discussing with many countries came forward to express interest in coming and investing in the Gambia, but also having trade bilaterals between the Gambia and those countries in the OIC. So Gambia is well placed to promote global supply chains by expanding our current port infrastructure, but also building a new deep sea port at Sanyang, but also through stability, investor confidence, conducive policy environment in medium and long term. Gambia is ready to ensure that we attract FDI, but also to promote trade within the OIC matrix. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Mr. Federa, I think this is the last answer.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Tunkara. Me nyininkaro do kijang ako kodo men dunta je 300 million o atante nyame lofa ko wala jabi. So coming up nyame the 350 million more than mensiata wati $1 kemesaba haluru nga fonu na kuma kan kono ko nga wale nyini non ka dundi project ko kon wala mo project jumalde wala mo nyi sila project ko infrastructure project ko jeune courant nyi conference center airport lounge any project ko to mo nyalon ko do wala to hotel bo ko na nyi fancy fa ko to so wo ko dun ta wala do in terms of capacity building même mu ka do kulal nyi ta ke ila londo sembonti yandi ani ke la pamro sembonti yandi wolu mambo 350 million okon wo bota $500 million dollars me alon ko wolle dunta nayi summit planning kono comme CEO ya fa nyame wole mu andum comme nga fa nyame men siata Gambia dingoti mo wuli lulu nga wollelu la karan sembentendi tanko bunda ba wol kono men siata mo wuli sabati na protocol official bo kono men siata mo keme fulati da doctorol ni nosol bol kono men siata mo keme fulati fanan doctorol ni nosol ngamenu train ke parendi ni bengo kamba mo keme mo tanbe je wol mu doctorol lelde senior doctors woni nosol manke clindi mo taworo wala ni kono nosol men yalon ko le karandi lab technician mo tanni woro pharmacist mo tanni woro ni nata na hospitality fanando pour que lunda wol jia ke kono dia ila sabati bla ni dinkira ko tawol men siata mo keme fulati ngawol le karandi woro ni nata protocol la karolo men siata mo keme fulati ananyo ngawol le fanan karandi woro so e kaje ko nafal men yalon ko wonnel be ni kunnato la karandiro fa damma la sembo warta ba kadum to ngamen je wala ko o ay si nafa be doyala ba ke ning atara so mi to na ta tambita gamenol me fanjeje andu nyin karandiro be wol fanan kola na ko do fanan sikale ngadi bunda jamal banko kanjang pour que sembentu yan na tanko bunda mo mu security agency men siata dalasi million tan sabati nga wala lebu men siata wala o be pour ya dundi ka joran wol sam ka uniform wol sangani fan ko don ka je ko la lunton wol setanka kara kani so na doctor o bunda mo men mu jaralo bunda men siata dalasi million tan sabati more than 30 million dollars was invested in the health sector and nga fengolu menu sang ye fengolu men sanje joran wala karola adabo ko wala mu fengol diminalo gol dol namanan so gambe banko kanja in fact ni atara manke to ladde marode ani alala man habe then do maybe kusi so me alon ka ben na somito maran la kadu modole be dem alon ko heart attack le amaje but given the preparedness na doctor la pare kamba ya mari taste borol men alon ko nyanta dilale ya dia mari la katabake manna mo fula fo ngam men su diada won woni mo ko to men futa de ma je jaro lo karola wol manke clean ni na jibe lo fananke na kiba de woni kiba ta bundala GRTS ko kono ali nduko bunda ko tawol GRTS fon kun kulima fo ngamen di wol fananna asiara dalasi million woni dodoti dalasi million tan sabani fen o fanam pour ye camera kutolu sam pour ye joran kutolu sam men yalon ko be ma ko so e kaje ko na fam be je ay karo belema ay fanna belema inshallah na diata alay wol be tendina ko ngayi tan di nyame honorable minister fana ye jabiro ke kondin na me alon ko wala la fakanna fengo jimbulu njawyandi bari comme docteur Cissé afa nyame men siara men sudiara mo wuli sabati wol ben damen mo mam problème so mo man kon patada ko sotoje na manke ku kelindi ngamero mo ala tentu baade mo duwa jam baal kadu mol fana nyandalu na ko nindol ba sinna dol be sare andu tumando ba fa mo malo membe ni mari membe ni ko ko askena mari ba ke kande pour ka banko fana do kende ala dam malo la bari ngamello wala mo ko ite ni mo be bendi nola iman sika ko sotoje tumando bara ngina fana mun nasadi ko nyi kono ala tendu amanna ke kubati amanna ke fendi men se maluba sindi banko bari comme ministre afa nyami ko be kiskis kanne inshallah mba ko dango bondilale kaje ko de ko kuba koma be bang ni ata go ko fa kola e kaje ko luntan jamalel be jangi dara banko karo bele dol findi de tata sandro la marché woldo dol be wol tata na club do restaurant da ko man hali problème so man yabi mo kan imam moy mo kan imam tan ke ko ke mol bari ko la ta wala nyama na mutaw nyama be menyanda mbamba ke kande na tanko bunda mol ba ko normale inshallah iba damo bon la nadia ta alay bari namanan kibaru ngamere silamba ko fala jane bari namanan ta dorom ministre ya itandi na ko se mobe jayi ngal tentu gambia man sakunda to yala banko nyaton ko excellency president adama baro fanan to yala mba fanan jayla mba tendula ben na kontano ni kono to ya itandi lala be duwala e fanan be damiru kala banko be pour mo be se duway na jamangol to na sadol kono nimbe ko ke kana duwa fo gambia kana du nyimmen kono o ay si nyaton kaya sanji sabo nin kayra bakata se benje karu ninga kayro kayra soto je gambia dingol bella nafa so mbese den na luwa kola na nyakilmal mbe na CEO fana jayla ben do ko nyol be jayla momo yalon ko ya muta ni ko kono gambia no la pengo mu nyinti an se ala tan ko gambia no le leji man molu so men bodna bantala kana ka kini ali ko ko je somito kono ñin tenti bal ni fengol be gambia no le be mo be jayla ba tentula ko kenyo le secretariat the LOC and organizing committee ki ba den jam bunda mo ba be jayla ba tentula ndito mo falli federal di mbal jaykan honorable minister Tangara Toyala Dr. Ismail Cissé information minister honorable ani ambassador Yakuba Diba Allah barakah thank you very much
Thank you, Mr. Federa. On that note, Excellencies, if you'd allow me, we'll close the program. I'd just like to say one more thing to all Gambians that were here at the summit or that are at home watching it. We were all a part of history and we should never forget that. This was a historic moment for this country and the people of the Gambia. So let us all enjoy that. And in the next 3 years, under the chairmanship of His Excellency, the President, Alan Barrow, let's all make best use of the opportunities that might come the Gambia's way. Thank you all for coming. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.